Talking reviews on the run today, Jose and I are going to get into all kinds of violence, and then we're going to soothe things out with a little bit of fishing. Today on Reviews on the Run, Jose and I are taking a look at Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Frontlines, Fuel of War, The Club, and in Versus, it's Fishing Master against Sega Bass Fishing. We're gonna get started right away, but first I gotta reintroduce our good friend here, Jose Sanchez.
I'm back.
Don Fubar, your humble king of the world, EP's best correspondent.
I do what I can.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. All right, we're talking about Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Wii. Likely gonna be this console's biggest selling game.
I can probably say that it will definitely be the best-selling game on the Wii.
Probably say that it will definitely be.
I can 60% be sure that it's going to be the greatest game.
It's already sold more than 1 million units just in Japan.
And those guys like to buy games.
They do. But this
Wiis.
game is just, it's gonna go gangbusters. It's the game that lots of people congregate to play. Now you have online play in the new Smash Brothers.
Which people wanted in the last
They definitely wanted. You get more characters, more backgrounds, more animations.
More fun.
More fun, more mini games. And if you've been watching this show for a long time, you probably realize that I'm not the biggest fan of the Smash Brothers
Smash Bros.
games.
Hater.
I didn't like the previous two. I really felt it was odd that, you know, all these beloved Nintendo characters were hitting each other and trying to hurt each other.
They gotta let their aggression out somehow.
Yeah, it just felt weird to me. And then with this game, I was kind of dreading this review a little bit because I know how many people love this series, and I got so much hate mail the last couple of times I reviewed Smash Brothers. But, you know, I went into this, I wiped all my preconceptions off, and I just sat down and played it and tried to just, you know, just analyze it for the game that it was, and I had a good time.
You fell in love with it.
I didn't fall in full love with it, but I had a pretty good time. I did have a crush on it.
Get a crush on it.
Yeah, it charmed me, and I think what I did this time is I said, okay, look, I'm not going to review this as a hardcore fighter. It's not Virtua Fighter, it's not Dead or Alive, it's not Tekken, it's not Soul Calibur. Those are my favorite fighting games. This doesn't hold a candle for me to those fighting games.
Yeah, I don't think it could ever.
It's a different game, right?
It is.
There's all these really cool touches to the love of Nintendo games, but now with Sonic and Solid Snake in the game as well. There's other series.
How about the music?
Music's great.
The opening cinematic song.
You get
Video games live by the end of the year.
You get a
calling it.
Are you?
Calling it.
But there's so many different tunes in there. You get like every Nintendo, almost every video game theme ever made is in this damn game.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Still button mashing. It's still kind of one button or two buttons fighting.
A and B.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
You push up to jump, or you can. There are jump buttons. I mean, one of the clever things that they did on the Wii is they allow you to play the game with a bunch of different controllers. So if you want to have the Wii controller, the Wiimote, and the nunchuck, you can do that. You can play just the Wiimote version. You can play the classic controller.
Any
you can play the GameCube controller.
You can play it with the old Nintendo controller, your old Super Nintendo controller. I'm sure you can find a port to plug it in.
No.
The Genesis controller?
No, you can't.
For Sonic?
No. I knew what I was going to get into with the gameplay. I knew that it was just going to be button mashing and lots of cool special effects, lots of clever level designs. I love the Pikmin level with the giant kind of slug creature that will eat the
levels, I think,
dudes.
are the best part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. They're animated. There's all kinds of cool destructible elements, and then the levels will change. You know, you got Pokemon stadiums, you got Zelda castles, you got castles from Fire Emblem. F-Zero Racing, Mario Kart tracks.
So how about the characters in this game?
Yeah.
You know, you start off with 21, which I guess it's a good number.
That's a decent amount of characters.
Not the amount of characters you'd like to see in a fighting game of this caliber.
The first 21 feels like the last Smash Brothers game.
It's true.
You know, it feels just like you're playing those old ones again.
It's true, but then you can unlock 14 extra characters, which are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you have your non-Nintendo characters. You got Sonic, Metal Gear, the Solid Snake action.
That's pretty cool. I still think I don't know what the hell's going on in the combat.
Still don't know either.
You know, it's absolute insanity. You beat up on lots of things and
it's just fun. But I mean, if you're gonna do a button masher, make it fun.
It is fun.
I can see its addictiveness growing on me.
Yes, and I am pulling back on the hatred that I've had for this series. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. How about yourself?
I'm going to give it a 7.
7. All right. Now this is exactly what the PSP needs. It's called Beats, and it's a game that you can download off the PlayStation Network store, either on the computer version or the PlayStation 3 version. and put it on your memory stick on the PSP, and it works in the same way that Phase does for the Apple iPod. It's that same kind of thing where you input your music into the game, and then you can play a rhythm-based game based on the beats in your tunes. One of the cool things about this is they've added all kinds of slick-looking animated backgrounds, and it's very stylish, very sleek. They even have an overdrive mode. When you start really kicking in the game and you're doing really well, it'll start making everything a little bit flashier than it already is. There is a limited multiplayer component in the game, and just the fact that you can constantly update it with new music makes this thing really special. But here's the best part about Beats. It's about $5. It doesn't cost hardly anything, and it's definitely something you want to have attached to your PSP. I'm giving Beats 8.5 out of 10. Stick around, we're going off to war with a brand new shooter called Frontline's Fuel of War right after this.
All right, we are talking about The Godfather, Mob Wars for the PSP. Now, one thing that stands out right away for me is that it has all of the amazing voiceovers and graphics, just like the console version had. So the action part of the game is just like the console versions for the most part, where you're going in, you can threaten people, but it's not as open-ended. It's not that Grand Theft Auto type of vibe. It's a little more linear in that sense, but they've added in a whole other half of the game, which, brace yourself for this, it's gonna seem kind of weird. They have a turn-based card strategy, kind of like Risk, the board game Risk. The game, take it or leave it, I like it. I think it's a good game. I'm giving it a 7.5.
I'm a big fan of Mario Tennis. Always enjoyed those games. Liked them on the handheld system, liked them on Nintendo's console system. So why can't Sega join the party? They have. It's called Sega Superstar Tennis, and it features all the Sega, well, the superstars that you know and love from the Sega world. You've got some Sonic the Hedgehog, you've got Knights, you've got Ai from Super Monkey Ball, and a bunch of other crazy characters. They use the Virtua Tennis engine, so the play is pretty accurate, but obviously it's all been cartoonified a little bit, so it's a little bit more forgiving. It's meant to be sort of accessible for younger players and your mom and your dad. You want to get them playing games every once in a while. There is some multiplayer play in there wirelessly, obviously. Unfortunately, there's no Wi-Fi play. That would have been great. And some of the special shots and things like that don't really come off as well as you'd like them to. The animation's all right, the speed is okay, the music will drive you insane. Fun stuff. It's definitely worth checking out if you're a Sega fan, if you want to get some more portable tennis action. I'd say the console versions of this game are probably better if you're a really big Sega fan, but if you're only playing tennis on the DS, definitely give this one a shot. It's called Sega Superstars Tennis. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.